Well, today is Tuesday, March 10th. I'm Brittany Noble, and here's what's coming up on the breakdown. A family is demanding answers after Florida police attack a black man while arresting him. And in the police report, officers claim they're justified. And a black mother wins justice for her son. A federal jury in California awarded her $2 million in a wrongful death lawsuit against Ed Buck, a disgraced Democratic donor. And we're diving deep into a discussion that's not often talked about in Black communities: preconception health. Dr. Toni Nettles Thompson joins us to discuss overcoming prenatal hurdles and how we can achieve optimum health overall. The breakdown starts right now. Well, today, voters in Georgia's 14th congressional district will pick a replacement for former Republican U.S. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. She resigned in January following a public rift with President Donald Trump. A crowded field of 22 candidates initially filed to run for the vacant U.S. House seat, and that number fell to 17 active contenders after a handful of withdrawals from the race. All candidates will compete on the same ballot, regardless of political affiliation. If no candidate receives a majority of votes, the top two vote getters will advance to an April 7th runoff. There are 12 Republicans and 3 Democrats competing in this special election. During a House meeting last night, Tennessee House Republican Representative Michelle Renaud made some off-putting comments following the proposal of a House education bill. She stated the Bible instructs those who own slaves on how to treat them. Her comments were followed with backlash and a quick rebuke from Democratic Representative Justin Pearson.
Representative Renaud.
Thank you for the question. As far as our founding fathers and those that owned slavery, it is important not to dilute history. We need to understand and know what that is so that we don't repeat those mistakes. But the Bible also says that we will be judged in the time of our culture. And at that time, it was a common practice. Not saying that's right or wrong. The Bible actually does instruct those who do own slaves on how to treat them and to treat them fairly and kindly. But our founding fathers definitely believe that all men were created equal, and it was those beliefs that moved us from the position of slavery to where we are today. So this particular legislation does not advocate to teach those things. I think we have many other pieces of civic education that likely does include that, but this intention for this legislation is for that to not necessarily be included.
Representative Pearson.
It is nearly unconscionable to believe that you just articulated the theological vision of enslavers in this Capitol in the year 2026 as though it was okay. Because here's your problem. The Bible, which was written in many different iterations, but is articulating a time of thousands of years ago, was used as justification for enslavement that happened thousands of years later, 400 years ago in our country. And so even if you're trying to articulate, as you are incorrectly, that the Bible was somehow giving permission to slavery, that would have been in the era in which it was happening. It wouldn't be used as a theological justification just 400 years ago in our nation's history. But what is worse, and what is deeply disturbing by what you have just said, is not how you are saying, and that was wrong or immoral. There is no question that slavery was immoral. And you shouldn't need a Bible to know that. And there were always people who were antithetical to the antebellum South's iteration of chattel slavery. The people who were enslaved, who were kidnapped from the continent of Africa and brought here against their will. And I am a Christian, and I am a 7th-generation Tennessean. I have read the Bible from front to back, and the stories about love, about who Christ is, about loving thy neighbor and loving God is what we are told to profess. So anyone who misused the Bible to enslave people, misuse the Bible to keep people in bondage, they were wrong then as you are wrong now. I refuse to support this legislation because the lens by which you are viewing the world is toxic, is damning, is wrong, and is immoral. And you, my fellow colleagues, should do much more work in understanding the history of this country and understanding the history of enslavement and the consequences that it continues to wreak and the barriers it continues to create in this state and around the country. No one should ever be able to use Christianity as justification for the enslavement of people, especially not someone who has the audacity to call themselves a legislator.
Well, she assumed office on November 5th, 2024. Her current term ends November 3rd, 2026. Renault is running for re-election. A Florida woman is arrested after using an AR-15 style rifle to shoot at singer Rihanna's Los Angeles mansion. Police say 35-year-old Ivana Ortiz fired at least 10 shots from inside her vehicle into the $14 million Beverly Hills area home Sunday after 1:00 p.m. Rihanna, who was home at the time, shares the mansion with her partner, rapper A$AP Rocky, and their 3 kids. Investigators say a round penetrated a wall of the house. No injuries were reported. Ortiz, who is originally from Florida, was booked on suspicion of attempted murder. Officials have not cited a motive for the attack, but authorities say weeks leading up to the shooting, she posted a series of erratic messages and videos on social media that referenced several celebrities, most notably Rihanna. Ortiz is being held on a $10.2 million bond. A federal jury in California has awarded $2 million to Letitia Nixon, the mother of Jamel Moore, in a wrongful death lawsuit against Ed Buck, a disgraced Democratic donor. The verdict was delivered in the United States District Court for the Central District of California after the jury deliberated for about 1 hour. The jury consisted of 5 men, 3 women, unanimously found Buck civilly liable for Moore's death and awarded Nixon damages for the loss of her son. Moore, a 26-year-old black gay man, died of a methamphetamine overdose in Buck's West Hollywood apartment in 2017 after Buck provided the drugs that led to his death. Moore's death was the first of 2 fatal overdoses associated with Buck's home. Buck was convicted in 2021 on 9 federal charges, including distribution of methamphetamine, resulting in death related to both Jamel Moore's death in 2017 and Timothy Dean's death in 2019. Dean, another black gay man, died under nearly identical circumstances in Buck's apartment in 2022. Buck was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. Well, the family is calling for accountability after video captured Broward Sheriff's Office deputies punching a man during an arrest in Florida on Tuesday. The video, recorded by drivers near State Road 7 and Commercial Boulevard, shows 41-year-old Christopher Newkirk on the ground as 3 deputies hold him down. 2 of them appear to punch him in the face. His family says the images have been difficult to watch. A booking photo released after the arrest shows a large gash on Newkirk's face and injuries to his eyes. Deputies initially pulled him over for illegally tinted windows, and according to court documents, deputies searched him after learning he was on probation for armed trafficking of narcotics. They reported finding drugs under his waistband and said he began to struggle. He's charged with multiple counts of battery on an officer, resisting arrest, and possession of multiple drugs with intent to sell. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs was vetoed a bill that would have created a specialty license plate honoring conservative influencer Charlie Kirk, who was shot and killed while speaking on a college campus in Utah last year. Under the proposal, drivers who choose the specialty plate would have paid an additional $25. Of that fee, $17 would have gone to the nonprofit arm of Turning Point USA. That's a controversial right-wing organization that Kirk founded back in 2012. Like other specialty plates in Arizona, the program was designed to raise money for affiliated causes through vehicle registration fees, but the governor ultimately rejected the measure, preventing the plate from moving forward. Live Nation has reached a settlement with the U.S. Department of Justice in its major antitrust case less than a week after the trial began. Under the deal, Ticketmaster must open parts of its platform to rival ticketing companies, allowing sellers like SeatGeek and Eventbrite to list tickets through Ticketmaster's technology. Live Nation will also pay about $200 million in damages to the states involved in the lawsuit. The case filed in May of 2024 by the Justice Department and 40 state attorneys generals accused the concert giant of maintaining an illegal monopoly over live events through its control of ticketing, venue, and artist promotion. The settlement also limits Ticketmaster's exclusive venue contracts to 4 years and allows venues to sell some tickets through competing platforms. Well, Byron Allen is buying a significant stake in the premium TV brand Starz. The mogul, whose Allen Media Group owns the Weather Channel, a production company, local TV stations, and streaming platforms, acquired a 10.7% stake in Starz. According to a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, Allen is paying $25 million for the stake. Starz is home to shows like P-Valley and 50 Cent's Power. The company was previously under Lionsgate. Last May, it split from Starz, allowing the premium cable network and streaming business to trade separately. Allen Media Group, which Allen founded in 1993, owns and or operates 27 ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox network affiliate broadcast TV stations in about 21 different U.S. TV markets. Well, coming up after the break, here on The Breakdown, why experts say the conversation around reproductive health is starting too late. We're talking about preconception health, early detection, and equity with Dr. Toni Nettles Thompson, founder of Preconception. Stay with us. You are watching The Breakdown. And remember, for more news headlines and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day, you can visit Black Star Network. We are your source for stories that matter to our community. We'll be right back. You're watching The Breakdown.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
I'm Risa Colbert, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
Well, today we're talking about an issue that doesn't always get the attention it deserves: preconception, health, and reproductive equity. Across the country, many young women are dealing with reproductive health conditions like PCOS, fibroids, and endometriosis, often without early diagnosis, education, or access to care. And for many communities, especially Black women and girls, those gaps can lead to long-term health disparities. Advocates say the conversation needs to start much earlier, long before someone is thinking about pregnancy, and should focus on education, prevention, and equity across the entire life course. Joining us now is Dr. Toni Nettles Thompson. She is working to reframe preconception health as a broader public health and equity issue. She's also the founder of Preconception, a public health initiative focused on early detection and education around reproductive health conditions among adolescent girls and women. Dr. Nettles Thompson, thank you for joining us today on The Breakdown.
Thank you so much for having me, Brittany.
Absolutely. So tell us how you founded your organization. What led up to this?
Well, it's, again, a passion project. For as long as I can remember, I have had, very painful menstrual cycles, just really those reproductive health issues that we consider as a rite of passage, right? And so, again, this work is inspired by lived experience first, and secondly, by my professional connections. So again, as someone who experienced infertility due to PCOS, that likely could have been diagnosed in my adolescent or young adult years, this work has truly become my passion. And likewise, my background in public health has shown me how often reproductive health conditions are identified too late, especially among Black women. And so Preconic really exists to move those conversations upstream before any harm can compound.
And many people may hear preconception health and assume that it only applies to women planning to have children. You're saying no. No, this is something that needs to be applied across the life course. It's different from traditional preconception or fertility care because it reframes preconception health as foundational health literacy and not just a fertility checklist. So whether someone wants to have children or not, their reproductive health affects their education, their career, their mental health, and ultimately their quality of life. And so Preconic just exists to equip them with the knowledge, which in turn affects their decision making. And sometimes the earlier you have the knowledge, the more choices you have in that area. Tell us a little bit more about your organization and what you offer.
So right now we are working on, again, having those conversations. So on the community side, we're working on community health forums that help individuals and their families learn about preconception health. Again, preconception health, this company is Preconception Intelligence, which means understanding your menstrual cycle, understanding your hormones, your symptoms, and even how your family history can connect to your overall health and to know when something isn't normal. And so we are equipping those individuals and families to have those conversations, but we're also working on tools that will equip providers to start having those conversations early and not just when a patient, whether it be adolescent or young adult, is presenting with symptoms of something far greater.
What do you say to many young women who may be presenting some of these conditions? What do you say about them going to the doctor and trying to get those diagnoses?
So the ultimate goal is to decenter pregnancy altogether, right? Because we do think that maybe having this conversation might pressure young girls to think about pregnancy, but it does just the opposite. And so I would say to young girls who are experiencing these issues to, really be in tune with your body, know what is normal for you and what's not, and speak up about the pain. Of course, like I said earlier, pain is not a rite of passage, and so things like that should be addressed early so you're not 30 years old still searching for answers. So we want to promote that early awareness is prevention.
And so what does that look like in the schools, reaching those adolescent girls and young women?
Well, most schools, especially in the South, have adopted abstinence education only. You have some who have abstinence plus education. And, again, we want to, reinforce that this is not about pregnancy, or this is not to assume that pregnancy is imminent. This really reframes our preconception health as foundational health literacy. So it's just like we would do financial literacy, or just like we teach our children and young adults about nutrition and mental health and physical health. It's never too early to have these age-appropriate conversations. And we should really be trying to reframe reproductive health, even if it's abstinence or abstinence plus, in the way that we frame nutrition, mental health, and physical activity. It's focused on understanding the body, not sexuality or pregnancy.
And we know that Black women face some of the worst reproductive and maternal health outcomes in the country. How does early education change that trajectory?
We're seeing a slow change. I've spent most of my public health career focusing on maternal and child health and chronic disease prevention. And so as a practitioner in this area, the research has consistently shown that Black women and other marginalized groups experience longer delays in diagnosis, higher symptom and disease burdens, and less access to culturally responsible care. And so, Preconic exists to address those gaps by normalizing early conversations. And so we're finding that if we have those conversations early, we empower individuals for self-advocacy, and we meet young people and adolescents where they are. We're seeing that this can, really change the trajectory of what happens later in life. And again, give people autonomy over their health, whether it's they want to have a baby or not.
Yeah. What should parents and educators, really communities, be paying attention to when it comes to warning signs or maybe symptoms that young girls could be experiencing?
Yeah. So in young people, it may look like, imagine a 15-year-old that has debilitating periods, and she's told that's just part of being a woman. Periods should not be debilitatingly painful, right? That's a warning sign. She may also be experiencing visible skin thickening and darkening that can signal insulin resistance or hormonal imbalance. That's it's not a hygienic issue, as we sometimes dismiss in this community. That's something that should really be looked at, whether it's for PCOS or diabetes or anything in that arena. The growth of male pattern hair on her face, chest, abdomen, or back. Instead of giving a prescription for hormonal birth control and being told to not really worry about it until she's ready to have a baby in the distant future, we need to look at that more closely and see if that is an underlying condition that may lead to a reproductive health condition down the line.
Well, if viewers want to learn more about Preconic or support the work that you're doing, how can they get involved?
Absolutely. So you can reach me at my website, drtnt.com, which is live. Also, I am on all social media as at DRPHTEA2, number 2. Or you can send me an email at info@tntpublichealth.com.
All right, Dr. Nettles Thompson, a really important conversation about health education, prevention, and equity. Thank you for joining us today on The Breakdown.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, coming up next on The Breakdown, lynchings have not ended. They have only evolved. In case you missed it on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Roland talked with the founder of a Mississippi civil rights group that documented dozens of killings. The two discuss chilling details about the lynching report. That story coming up next on The Breakdown. Stay with us.
The They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Well, we are asking for your help in finding Brooklyn Ashley. The 15-year-old went missing a few days ago on March 7th in Oakland, California. Brooklyn was last seen in the 4000 block of Tompkins Avenue. The circumstances of her disappearance are unknown, but she was last seen wearing all black clothes. She has long braids. She weighs about 140 pounds and is 5'4". If you know anything about where she could be, please contact the Oakland Police Department at 510-2238-3641. In case you missed it on Roland Martin Unfiltered last night, Roland talked about modern-day lynchings in the South. A Mississippi civil rights group documented 70 killings from 2000 to 2025. Here's more of that conversation.
Stories say the last lynching took place in 1981. However, a new report from Mississippi civil rights group says that 70 took place between 2000 and 2025. The group is called Julian. It's titled The Crimson Record, identifies cases across 7 states, Georgia, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi. It documents 70 instances of modern-day lynchings in these southern states in the last 25 years. The findings indicate the actual number could exceed 100 when suspicious deaths are taken into account. Joining us right now is Jill Collin Jefferson. She's the founder of Julia. She joins us right now. I'm glad to have you here. So first and foremost, well, folks, explain your definition of a lynching, because the average person is thinking somebody hanging from a tree. So walk us through that.
Okay. So our definition of a modern day lynching is a discriminatory killing committed in the late 20th or early 21st centuries by more than one person, carried out for an alleged offense with or without a legal trial or due process. And our definition expands the definition to include deaths of trans people, deaths of indigenous women, deaths of brown people, and physically impaired people as well, not just Black people.
Okay. And how did you go about documenting this?
So this was a long process. You know, the bulk of the work took 18 months, but this was really a 2-year process where we were talking to families. We were scouring newspapers and all the public records. We looked in every single newspaper in every single county in every single state that we studied. We looked on social media. We documented from conversations with forensic pathologists, from conversations with former FBI agents, from conversations with forensic psychologists. And so we did all of this work to document these cases and then analyze each of the cases and figure out if it fit in one of 3 categories, whether it was a modern day lynching, whether it was another type of hate crime, or whether it was a suspicious death.
Gotcha. And were you using official autopsies, or again,
Yes.
how was it decided?
In a lot of instances, we did use official autopsy reports and police records. But what I will say is that we did not always come out with the same conclusions that those records came out with. So, for example, in the Raynard Johnson case, which was the first modern day lynching recorded in Mississippi, that happened in the year 2000, and the FBI found that that was a suicide. We found the complete opposite after investigating that case and talking with the same medical examiner who had done the FBI's medical examination. And what he told us was that the facts that we gave him were not given to him at the time. And he said if he'd known those facts, he would not have been able to rule it a suicide, that he would not have been able to tell if it was a lynching or a suicide. And so we uncovered different things in cases that the police have not uncovered as well.
Gotcha. And what do you hope folks take away from this?
I hope people take away the urgency of this moment, that this is a time where these cases are rising due to the radicalization online, due to the racialized rhetoric, due to the anti-trans rhetoric and anti-immigrant rhetoric that's going on. The number of modern day lynchings has not decreased, it's increased in recent years, and we expect it to continue to increase. And so people need to know that these cases are still happening so that they can watch their backs and understand what's really going on in America.
My panel joining us right now, Thelma Anderson, creator of the Public Opinion Court, as well as author of Shut Up and Prosecute out of Dallas, Dr. Ome Congo Dominguez Sr., professor of lecturer, School of International Service, American University, author of Lies About Black People, How to Combat Race, is joining us from D.C. Also, attorney Scott Bolden, also joining us from D.C. Glad to have all 3 of you here. Ome Congo, you're first with your question.
Thank you so much for doing this. And my question is, as you connect the past to the present, does the type of formula that you're using, meaning that we also may have to go back and revise some of the stories and accounts from prior times before 2000?
So, no, we don't have to go back to historical lynchings, but I would suggest that we go back at least to 1981 and look at the modern day lynchings. And so the reason why I say that is because at a certain point in history, especially contemporary history, when you get into the 70s and the 80s, the nature of lynching started to change, which led to this changing definition. No longer was it just like the KKK committing an act. It's people online who get radicalized and then get offline and go out and do something. And so this new definition is sort of meant for new times. So it's no need to go back to the historical lynchings to change that definition or look at those. I would say, though, that there should be more examination of the deaths of Indigenous women and trans women that go back further than what we've studied.
Elma? Scott.
Yeah, thank you so much for your hard work. What begs the question with your hard work and the results is that throughout your research, were there any opportunities to go back to those local jurisdictions or even the feds to say, hey, take another look at this? We think this was a lynching. It was never defined as that, but we think it merits more investigation. Did you have any circumstances like that?
Yes, we did. So in the Willie Andrew Jones Jr. case, for example, that's Willie was a 21-year-old Black man found hanging from a tree in Scott County, Mississippi in 2018. And with that case, we solved that case from start to finish and found out that it was a lynching. It had been ruled a suicide. And we took our findings to the district attorney and gave him all of our findings. We also won an $11 million civil suit in that case. But the DA, even though the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation reopened the case, the DA still has refused to charge the lynchers. And these are people who tried to lynch someone before they lynched Willie and have threatened to lynch people since, yet they're still free. We also are going to the FBI about Raynard Johnson's case, and there are certain circumstances in other cases where we are contacting local authorities.
Thank you. You know, I also think that there are anti-lynching laws in most states, in most jurisdictions in the country, although it's very rare that someone gets prosecuted for lynching, but your work could be the impetus for something like that. Am I right about that? Every state, including and the District of Columbia, have anti-lynching laws.
Well, states have hate crimes laws that don't specifically talk about lynching and don't really apply to the lynching context as well. They don't map over very well. But what Congress did in 2022 was pass the Anti-Lynching Act, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that legislation is toothless. It doesn't really do anything to help solve or prevent these cases from happening. So what we have in this report, A Crimson Record, are several policy recommendations for what needs to happen on the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act and what needs to happen on the state level as well. I will say that we did bring an anti-lynching bill as well as bills in Mississippi to increase the requirements for coroners, because in Mississippi, to be a coroner, all you have to have is a high school diploma or equivalent and pass a test. And so we introduced the anti-lynching bill there, as well as requirements for raising the standards for coroners, and both of those bills died in committee. What I can say is that we're working now on the federal level with a congressman to bring amendments to the 2022 Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act that we do hope will make this substantive legislation actually impactful.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Good luck with your future work on this important subject.
Thank you.
All right, then.
Stand by.
Well, ahead, we'll hear a transformative travel experience that combines cultural engagement, personal growth, and professional development, often focusing on the African diaspora and the community impact. Stay with us. You are watching The Breakdown on the Black Star Network. Your support here is critical to the work that we do. You can support us via Cash App using the Stripe code. That is going to be in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen there. You can help us out with credit cards. Use the same thing. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo's RM Unfiltered. Zelle at RolandSMartin.com. Rolling at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. If you're old school, you can send checks and money orders, all payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196 in Washington, D.C. Our goal is to raise $1 million by the end of this year, December 31st, and we certainly appreciate your support. We'll be right back. You're watching The Breakdown.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Rhea Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Violent white supremacy is, quote, the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland.
The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violence string, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology.
They are coming after everything in Black America. MAGA and Donald Trump are specifically targeting Black America. They are going after the money. Attack Black Lives Matter. Attack critical race theory. Attack woke, DEI. MAGA wants to defund Black America. This is a perfect example of their desire to completely degrade and de-emphasize Black people.
Well, we want to show you guys a conversation that we had about conscious immersion. Connection, cultural understanding, and real opportunity beyond what we've been taught to expect. And for many, that journey is leading them straight to Ghana. Conscious immersion is a unique experience designed to connect people not just to the history of Ghana, but to its present and future through cultural immersion, education, community engagement, and pathways to collaboration and investment. Joining me now is Dr. Isaac Adai, founder and CEO of Conscious Immersion. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the breakdown.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be with you today to talk about this trend to Ghana.
Tell us a little bit more about it.
Sure. So everybody is really thinking about how to reconnect with the continent. We're seeing a global shift with demographics and energy, and Ghana for years has been known as the gateway to Africa. And since 2019's year of the return, it's been a hot spot, specifically for those in the African diaspora.
Tell us a little bit more about conscious immersion and
Sure.
what makes it different from a typical travel experience.
Sure. So anybody can go to Ghana on their own and have a good time. But my family's from Ghana and I've been traveling there since I was 8 years old. So we have a very unique and direct way to connect with the country. I designed Conscious Immersion to give people more than just a tourism experience, but a deeper dive into what it looks like to live in Ghana, invest in Ghana, and do business in Ghana. So we've had a range of individuals and institutions join our immersions because they're able to get a blend of cultural as well as some more specifics about what it takes to engage with the country in a more formal way.
And tell us more, like what inspired you to create this program and why was it important for you to build something so intentional?
Sure. Well, I have to give credit to my parents. They are tribal leaders in Ghana and professors in the US, and they've always taught my siblings and I about our ancestry and how even though we were born in America, we're Ghanaians. And so we've been going since we were children, started taking our friends with us after college. We're all HBCU grads. But in 2022, my sister Angela organized our first big group around her wedding. And we did a few of those trips and decided, let's give folks a deeper dive because we started seeing more people move into Ghana, having questions about doing business. And we were getting a lot of outreach since we were doing trips on all of these other specifics. So Conscious Immersion was born out of that energy, essentially.
And tell us a little bit more about what Ghana represents for Black Americans right now.
Yeah, Ghana is a beautiful country and it represents heritage. It represents a connection to ancestry and it's home. Essentially, if you think about the slave trade, most of the Black American community today hails from some part of West Africa and highly likely Ghana. And even if it's not Ghana, it's still the continent, it's still the motherland. And for many people, specifically in the Black community, it's a great country to have your first experience with the continent. It's a very welcoming country. It's an English-speaking country. It's very safe and stable economy politically. So folks can go, they can engage. And now we're seeing a whole host of people connect there. I mean, we're seeing a Pan-Hellenic organization start chapters. I'm a charter member of the Alpha Phi Alpha chapter. The AKAs just started a chapter. MPHC just launched a chapter. So the wave is really, really picking up a lot of steam.
When someone signs up for a conscious immersion experience, tell us exactly what they can expect.
Yes. When you join a conscious immersion experience, you're going to have a very tailored and curated experience to Ghana. And one thing that we do that's unique, we take people to the Volta region, which is where our family is from, which is probably the most, I would say, Ghana's best kept secret. Not everybody gets to travel there, but when you do, you'll see some of the highest waterfalls in the country, some of the highest mountain ranges in the country, and just a lot of growth and opportunity. So conscious immersion gives people exposure to the Volta region. We get people connected with government leaders, with business leaders, with academic leaders. So it's a really deep immersive experience that awakens your consciousness, hence the name conscious immersion.
For people who feel called to go but still feel a bit nervous or kind of unsure, what do you want them to understand?
Yeah, Ghana seems very far away and it seems like a land that is distant. But what I tell people, it's closer than you think. We've got direct flights from the US, one. Two, it's a very welcoming place and you can actually go there and navigate on your own. It's not as hard to get to Ghana as you think. Most of the people that I've taken to Ghana, once they go and come back, they say, I wish I had gone a long time ago. And they're also thankful that they had the experience because it helps dispel some of these myths that we have about the continent.
What opportunities do you see right now in Ghana for Black professionals and entrepreneurs, even families who want to build real relationships and even long-term investments?
Yeah, great question. So we're supporting all of that, right? So we've got folks who've joined us who are now doing business in Ghana. We're helping them establish a business presence there. We have people in our group who want to relocate with their families, and so they're getting engaged in real estate. The group that we took in January, we took them on a real estate tour so that they could see what some of those investment opportunities look like. We've got universities looking to establish a presence there. The thing that I tell people about Ghana, specifically under President Mahama's new agenda for the country, is that it's open for business. And Ghana has figured out that the diaspora is the key to growth and progression as a nation. So they're welcoming the country. They have a diaspora citizenship pathway. If you're an entrepreneur thinking about investing, real estate obviously is a hot opportunity there, but fintech is growing. There are opportunities to revolutionize the healthcare landscape. And then Ghana is focused on processing more agricultural goods in country. So agro-processing and manufacturing are also investment opportunities, in addition to mining. So we help people identify these opportunities and engage by giving them a first introduction to the country and then helping them see people on the ground who are from the Black American community living and thriving and showing them what's possible.
And tell us more about the impact that you have seen firsthand on people that have been a part of these immersions. How has it impacted them personally, mentally, even spiritually?
Yeah, I think the spiritual transformation is one of the most profound. When people go to Ghana, they embrace this awakening of sorts. And that's why I use the phrase conscious. You're going to go to a country and see a predominant population of people that look just like you. That's the first thing that shocks people. It's like, wow, this is a place where we are, where we're in leadership and where we're driving what's happening. The spiritual connection is there. We take people to Cape Coast to visit the slave castles and to go to the last bath. And that connection hits home for people because it helps them understand that their ancestors walked these lands and were taken away to another country to build, but we're still the same people. We still have the same ancestry and DNA within us. And so Ghana is home. And when I take people there, they realize, wow, this has been kept from me my entire life. I wish I had known about this. And thankfully to my parents, we've been able to have those experiences since we were children.
And tell us about the next trip.
Sure. So our next trip is in May, and this one is focused on education. So we're going to be hosting a group of HBCU students, including students from Tennessee State University, but we'll also have K through 12 and university leaders joining us for an immersion tied to the eLearning Africa conference. So that's what we have coming up next. We're putting a lot of work into getting folks prepped for that trip. We'll do additional trips in the summer and later in the fall. And we're now starting to curate some bespoke experiences for organizations that are reaching out. So we do a little bit of both.
Fantastic. How can people connect with you and learn more about conscious immersion?
Sure. Visit consciousimmersion.com, or you can follow me on any social media platform, Isaac Adai, PhD. Please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Our team does a great job of building these connections. We partner with the Onyx Group and folks on the ground in Ghana to help cement what it means to travel back home, but not just to go as a tourist, but to go and actually connect and build roots. So we'd love to help you have that experience.
Dr. Isaac Adai, founder and CEO of Conscious Immersion, thank you so much for joining us on The Breakdown.
Brittany, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, coming up next on The Breakdown, a group of women joined forces to form a village. They tell us the importance behind forming Mom Cave ahead. And if you know someone in our community who deserves the Noble Spotlight, we would love to know your thoughts. Please just reach out to us. We'll be right back. You're watching The Breakdown.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Well, a group of women come together to support new and veteran mothers. The Mom Cave Company's mission to support each other, create community while instilling unity. A village for families in need is what the Mom Cave is all about. The organization prides itself in understanding what it takes more than just a mother and a father to raise a child. It takes grandparents, caregivers, and a community to support the little one. The group members are joining us today. We have Brittany Rice and Danielle Buchanan. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. Hello.
Absolutely. We're so happy to have you here. So tell us a little bit more about what the Mom Cave is. What is it all about, Brittany?
It started off as just a social group for moms. We were all going through COVID and just trying to figure out how to regain things after being in lockdown. Mm-hmm. And Jordan and I and a group of other women were on a Clubhouse little conversation, and we all decided to meet up at Cholita in Broad Ripple. And that became like let's just start this little monthly thing of moms getting together and getting out the house and having a moment. And then from there, Jordan and I started a Facebook group, and that's where we started the Mom Cave. And it's like we have a private group where we would just share different things that we wanted to do and just have like mommy day out events on Sunday mornings. And then from there, we actually had parents like, hey, I need diapers, I need wipes, I'm needing help with things. So from there, we would take like a monthly due, and we would give items to moms that were in need. And because we just kept seeing so much of a need from there, I mean, we stopped so much of the outings, even though we do want to get back to that. We do still do like Mother's Day events and things like that and other things for the kids. But then we noticed like we need to do something more where we're able to help. So we started doing community baby showers, and we are actually doing 2 this year. So it just kind of grew and grew and grew. We got our 501c3. We went through all the steps to make it a legit nonprofit and to really give back to our community.
And Danielle, why is it so important for us moms to get together?
I think it's important for moms to understand that they have community and support. I think we're very hard on ourselves, and there's just so much for us to do. There's so much on our plates. So it's nice to come together and for them to feel like you do have a resource. You don't have to just sit in it or feel alone or feel like there's no one who understands what you're going through, because that is not true. There are people who do understand. We've all been there. We're all mothers, and we all need each other. It truly does take a village. So I think it's just important for us to come together and support each other and make sure that you have an open platform where you feel safe and seen and allowed to let us know that what you're going through, and we can also assist you and provide you resources and community in that.
Well, let's talk about some of the resources that you guys are able to provide.
So we have a program, it's called Mommy to the Rescue. And with Mommy to the Rescue, it's more of an emergency assistance. So you would fill out a form, let us know what you need, and then we'll look in our backstock, put together a box, and either you pick it up from the resource center that we're at, which is Moorhead Community Resource Center on East 10th Street, or we can schedule a delivery where we're able to drop it off, kind of like an Amazon package right to your doorstep. So in those packages, we give you a pack of diapers, wipes, baby clothes, bottles, lotion, soap, just kind of like a package just to get you started so that you do have something. And if you continue to need it, we try to at least get those to parents at least twice a year. You're able to sign up. We did pause it for a little because we were building back up our backstock and then just funding. But we got a lot more funding this year already. And then the community baby shower is more of our bigger thing. And at first we were just having them annually on in September, but this year we got enough funding where we were able to do 2. So we are actually having our first one on March 21st from 11 to 2. Now registration is closed. We have like over 100 parents already registered. But we are accepting walk-ins on the day of at 1:00. So you're able to still come, and if we still got items, we will still be pushing out items to parents that are in need.
Does that just kind of show you the level of need that we have in the community?
For sure. And I think we just see that we need each other very, very bad. Like we need each other, and we need to all come together in some kind of way to make things happen. Like people need diapers every day, and we actually just partnered with the Indiana Diaper Bank, and we went to a partners brunch with them, and we noticed like how many people were having issues with even just getting the basics like diapers and wipes. They're reusing diapers or don't have enough diapers. So diapers is one of the main things that we're noticing that people are really, really in need of. So we try to get a lot of diapers to dish out because, I mean, it really does take a village. And we just want to y'all to know that we're a part of that village. So if you need help, we are here.
So what about the people that want to help you guys out? How can they help?
Yes, please. Email us. You can email us or reach out at themomcave.org, in which we have links on our page. And we also there's a lot of flyers going around that have notifications on how to do so. We need all the support we can get because as much as we're trying to do, it takes a village with us as well. There's so many people in need. And like Brittany said, just to see so many people feeling like they don't have the basics, which is unfortunate, but we've all been there. We know what it feels like. So do not sit alone in that and just make sure that you're reaching out. Partners, please reach out to us and see how you can donate to us. There's so much to do, so many people to assist, and we need the community just as much as they need us.
And Danielle, what about to those other moms that just want to have some camaraderie with other moms?
Listen, we all need friendship, support. If you write us, we do a lot of things on Facebook too, just where we try to reach out. We are mothers, we're humans, we know what you're going through. Don't don't feel like there's no one who can assist you, or at least you don't have a helping ear. We know, and we do look forward to doing more events where we bring mothers together, which we've tried. Like Brittany said, we're trying to get more back to, and we're going to have more of that to come. Just where we have events, whether it be yoga that we want to do, or just where we come in and we all just talk about what we're going through, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, and truly helping each other. Each stage of a child growing is different. We all are experiencing different things. We have kids at different ages, so we are going to rely on each other. There is no handbook to parenting, truly. So just whatever you need, please reach out to Mom K. We are excited to help, and we're excited to grow, and we look forward to meeting and helping more families.
And that's wonderful. Brittany, tell us what that Facebook group is.
It's the Mom Cave Co. on Facebook. There is a private group for just moms. So in that group, it's more you can share different ideas or different things that you need help with. We're all like, that's our little village. And then we have the public group where anybody could add and see what we have going on. You can also go to our website and subscribe so that you can get all the information on a regular basis and you be a subscriber. And our website is themomcaveco.org. And on there, we'll show all of our events and everything that we have going on as well. And then if you're interested in being like a partner or donating to our baby showers, because the first one is March 21st, but our next one is September 19th. So if you can't help with this one, maybe you can help with the next one, or even just the diaper drives that we'll be doing. So we're always looking to get sponsors and people that, see our mission and want to help us. You can always email us too at info@momcaveco.org.
All right.
And assist.
All right. momcaveco.org. We want to thank you both for joining us, Brittany Rice and Danielle Buchanan from momcave.co. All right, you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.